Well, welcome to Coffee with the Authors. I believe this is our fourth virtual one. So if it's your first time joining us, welcome very much for Helen Ross Lee's book, The Phoenix Rising. Hopefully you are able to get your copy and at least get some of it read before we get this little behind the scenes peek with her today. The Brain Injury Alliance is excited to continue this series. We already have another book lined up at the end of next month, and that's Sharon Royer's Out of the Rabbit Hole. So if you haven't checked in on that one yet, it is already on our website calendar. And same deal as it was with this one, the first 15 registered get a free copy. So today we are being joined with Victor Volkman. He is the senior editor at Modern History Press, which specializes in publishing memoirs for people who have lived through difficult times and circumstances. Many of the books are about people overcoming disabilities, disease, or an injury. Example would be Kelly Bolden Darmfall's Lost in My Mind, which has been one of our selections, as well as, of course, Helen Ross Lee's The Phoenix Rising, Story of Survival. Both of those focus on brain injury recovery. And you can learn more about that by going to the website www.modernhistorypress.com, and I'll go ahead and put that in the chat for you. And Victor, is actually, you're joining us from, I believe, Ann Arbor, Michigan. Is that correct?
I am. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for being with us. I will turn it over to you to introduce Miss Helen.
Thanks, Kristen, for the warm intro, and it's lovely to see all you people at the Brain Injury Alliance of Arizona. You people are doing amazing work, and anything we can do to contribute, it's just amazing. Helen Ross Lee's memoir, The Phoenix Rising, shows us a successful nurse, mom, and hang gliding champion at the top of her game. In 2008, she suffered a tragic accident in a practice takeoff maneuver that resulted in a grievous traumatic brain injury, which precipitated a coma and temporary amnesia. Helen refused to give up or give in, regardless of the gloomy prognosis from medical experts. Her 10-year struggle to rehabilitate and return to work with the support of her family will inspire anyone who has experienced or cared for someone with stroke, TBI, or another long-term chronic illness. Now, I met Helen in April of 2019, and she had launched her book earlier as a self-published effort after a huge investment in editing. The manuscript was in very good shape, and mainly the changes we have done, which respect the privacy of individuals who had not yet consented to have their names appear in print, right? That's very important to any author. And we added more material to bring the text up to date with recent life changes and improvements in her recovery. So I'm very proud that we have the book available now in paperback, hardcover, and ebook editions. The work Helen has done to get this far makes it one of the most closely documented TBI recovery stories in print, I believe. And with that, I will turn it over to Helen.
Good morning. Well, were you going to ask me some questions?
Absolutely. We can start with some questions. Did you want to do any readings before we jumped into some of the questions we had already?
No, thank you.
No, okay. So one of the questions that had come up was it difficult living with so many changes in your life after that injury?
Well, discomfort is something that I've had to deal with consistently over the last almost 13 years following my hang gliding accident. Discomfort has become my enemy. There's a Chinese book called The Art of War, which says, keep your friends close, but keep your enemies closer still. In the short term, discomfort alone is what will keep American people safe in these times of the viral epidemic. How about people pick up a good book to read, any book, and stay safe in the confines of your own home?
Yes. One of the questions I had was why you chose to work with an American publishing company rather than in Australia, which is where you are from and currently living and joining us very early in the morning.
Well, in Australia, I was somehow overlooked by the whole book publishing industry. I suppose my story is so miraculous sounding that nobody believed me it was a fictional manuscript. I can assure you it is 100% true, irrespective of what certain people may say. Not one major bookshop has even shown the slightest interest in making hard copies of my book available to the public in Australia. So in Australia, it is mostly available as an ebook, unless the hard copy is purchased through my website at www.thephoenixrising.com. My manuscript became a book due to the foresight of my small American publisher. He was well versed in the scientific principles of neuroplasticity. Information about Loving Healing Press can be accessed on a link on my website. My publisher has published other books by authors like me. The mainstream media wasn't that interested either, and that is until the Woman's Weekly got involved. The Woman's Weekly is Australia's highest selling premier magazine. They are running a story in their March or April issue about my achievements.
Wow. Well, congratulations on that. So they're at least starting to hear the story there. What motivated you to want to write about the experience?
Well, prior to my accident, I had been a registered general nurse for 28 years. I haven't been able to work physically as a nurse since my accident, but I still am a nurse at heart. I care about people. It's about letting as many people know as possible that neuroplasticity is real. Anyone can learn how to re-network their brain following injury or stroke.
That is a wonderful message of hope for other survivors, and you just wanted to share that message. Thank you. I would say to overcome, you know, you talk about having a nice long career before this. It takes a lot of determination. Would you say you've always been this strong and determined, or is that more a result of overcoming the injury?
I've always set myself high goals. It is now my intention to create a new paradigm within the medical system in Australia, if not in the world, whereby there is a new understanding by medical personnel that human brains are capable of regaining their former level of cognitive capacity, if not more, following an injury. What Ruth Bader Ginsburg was to the rights of equality for women in the US in the mid-20th century is what I aspire to be to all brain-injured people, male or female, anywhere in the world. All people must do is accept encouragement and the encouragement to find solutions to their problems using data and feedback as a guide. That's what I did anyway.
Yes. Well, you have certainly embraced the new you, haven't you? Was there anything that you really struggled with in kind of finding this identity? I know that wasn't quite one of those questions, but just as a follow-up, that's amazing.
What do you mean?
Well, I just, you know, to go from just being a nurse, caring for others, to then a desire to become such an advocate for an entire a population of people, and in fact go about changing the way things are done within the medical community. That's a big change for you. So I'm impressed.
Yeah, I suppose it is, but like I said, I've always set myself high goals.
Yeah. All right. What keeps you going when you kind of run into maybe obstacles to those goals?
Well, it's not about money for me. I have learned to live like a queen on a very frugal level of income ever since my accident. There is a German philosopher named Friedrich Nietzsche who once said, "What doesn't break you always makes you stronger." And it has. Professor Berbaumer, who first read my book, has suggested that it could sell millions of copies. If I can help that many people, it will be worth the loss of my privacy.
Who do you hope reads your book?
Well, there is an Australian television presenter named Andrew Denton who interviewed me in 1990 prior to the inaugural Women's World.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a man named Professor Michael Merznick who lives in San Francisco, California. He heads Brain HQ's science team. Brain HQ is one of the apps which helped me most in my recovery. Professor Michael Merznick is the man who most inspires me.
Okay.
It was his work on Brain HQ which Todd Sampson used to create his award-winning documentary in 2013.
Okay. Excellent. It's Brain HQ. Okay. I'm going to have to look into that now. How did you deal, this kind of goes into, how did you end up dealing with having to learn all this new medical knowledge? You know, I mean, I guess it's a little different for you because you were in nursing beforehand, but maybe you didn't have the specialization of brain injury. How did you deal with learning all that there is to know after your injury?
Well, it was 10 years since I had last practiced as a nurse when I actually had my accident. However, much of the fundamental underlying principles of nursing remained at my core. If I didn't know or understand something, then I knew I needed to research it and learn.
Yeah, absolutely.
My husband Wayne was the only constant in my life at that stage. I don't know how much I could have achieved without him.
Ah, wonderful. How long have you guys been married? Many years.
13 years.
Congratulations.
How many? We were married 2 years after my accident.
Oh, wow. Oh, that is amazing. How would you say it affected your family? Obviously, you had an entire family life change after your accident, but how did it work with other family members?
Well, my two children were only aged 8 and 10 at the time of my accident, and they were obviously devastated.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to protect them and be there for them, as any mother would. I once said to Wayne, if I need to be there for my kids, please don't get in my way.
A mama bear, I love it.
my mother and my sisters had their own grief and sense of loss to deal with. It was difficult up until recently with both my mother and older sister, who recently came to visit me. My younger sister, who I was closest to prior to the accident, still has not come to terms with what has happened. I don't know the last time we spoke.
I'm so sorry to hear that.
Well,
so thank you all so much. Yes?
People can actually connect with me just by
Your
going
website?
to my website
Okay. Perfect.
and clicking on the contact page, because any messages come straight to my email account, and I can contact the person directly that way.
Okay. And that, Victor, is the website that you put in the chat there, right? The phoenixrising.com? Yep. All right.
Chat window.
There you go. If you burning questions remain, then you can reach directly out to her. So thank you so much for joining us, Helen and Wayne. I know you're in there. And all of you bright, shiny people this morning, we appreciate you. We love you guys. If you ever need any services or need to talk with a resource manager, always you can call our offices or email us. We are still here for you in this fabulous pandemic. All right, all. Have a wonderful rest of your Saturday.
Thank you, Helen.
Kristen.
Absolutely. Bye.